Okay.
I think I'm on. No, now I'm on. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'll call to order this hearing of December 27th, 2019 in the matter of site plan review SPR 19-6, conditional use permit 1901, and SEPA 1906 for the Verizon Burris Creek cell tower. My name is Joe Turner. I'm the city's hearings examiner. Given that it's the applicant and staff here, I will make this as short as possible, but there are certain things I have to hit under state law. I start by saying I'm not a city employee. I'm licensed as an attorney and trained as a planner. I serve on contract to the city council. I say that so you know you're getting a somewhat independent review of the application before me today. My role as the hearings examiner is to conduct the hearing, make decisions about certain land use matters in the city of Woodland. In making those decisions, I'm required to apply the city's existing laws. If you think that the laws need to be changed, you can work with City Council and Planning Commission to do that. But state law requires that this application be judged based on the laws in effect when the application was filed. As a hearings examiner, I'm to provide an unbiased decision maker. I believe I am unbiased with regard to this application. I have not had any pre-hearing contact with any of the parties regarding the substance of the application, and I don't have any interest in the subject property or any of the surrounding properties. But you have the right to challenge my impartiality, to argue that I'm biased in one way or another, and you can do that when it's your opportunity to testify. Procedure will follow. I'll start by asking staff to summarize their staff report, copies of which are available at the back of the room. I think everybody's got one anyway, because it's the applicant. But if anybody wants a copy that doesn't have one, we can sure provide one. Once the staff has presented their staff report, the applicant will have an opportunity to respond to the staff report and present their proposal. If anyone else wants to testify about this application in support, in opposition, or with questions, they may do so. If any such testimony is offered, I'll give staff and the applicant an opportunity to respond to that testimony. If the response includes any new evidence, I will give everyone a chance to respond to the new evidence. Otherwise, I'll close the public portion of the hearing and announce what I'm going to do. Generally, I will issue a written decision within about 2 weeks after the close of the record. I'll send that decision to the city. The city will send it to parties of record. So if you testify orally or in writing before the close of the record, you'll be sure to receive a copy of my decision. When you testify, please come on up to the podium there. Our hearings are recorded as part of our record in the event of an appeal. Please begin your testimony by stating your name and full mailing address. Please spell your last name so I get it right. And if you represent someone else, please say so. If you have any exhibits you want me to consider, such as a copy of your testimony or other documents or physical evidence, you can hand it to me. I'll mark it as an exhibit and I will consider it as part of my deliberations. It is important that you make your best case to me. My decisions may be appealed to City Council, but the City Council may not allow new testimony and evidence on appeal. They may limit the appeal to the record before me. So if you feel it's important that myself or any future decision maker knows something about this application, you need to make sure it gets into the record before me. In order to preserve your right to appeal, you or someone expressly representing you must testify orally or in writing before the close of the record. And in order to raise an issue on appeal, someone must have raised that issue before me. If you feel you need more time to prepare, you can ask me to hold the record open or continue the hearing. If I hold the record open, you'll have an opportunity to submit additional written testimony and evidence before I make a decision. If I continue the hearing, come back and do this again at a later date. But if anyone wants me to hold the record open or continue the hearing, you must make that request before the close of the hearing today and provide some support for why whatever you want to submit during the open record period or continuance, why that information couldn't be submitted during the hearing today. But unless there's any questions, that concludes my introduction. Ms. Johnson? Do you have a mic over there?
Sorry?
Do you have a microphone over there?
No, not
Oh,
here.
okay.
Well, because I'm just used to coming up here.
Okay, that's fine.
Good morning. Melissa Johnston, Associate Planner with the City of Woodland, and I'll be presenting the staff report today for the Burris Creek Cell Tower proposal. So a new support tower is proposed, specifically a 100-foot monopole in a 40 by 40-foot equipment compound. The applicant is Horizon Tower, and the owner of the property is Simpson Properties, LLC, where there is a mini storage site that is planned to be expanding into the next door site where this cell tower will be located. Overview of the location. Here's I-5 running north-south through town, and the overall location is in the north part of town, just south of the high school in our industrial area on Robinson Road. A little closer view, there's Robinson Road there, and the orange is the proposed site, and you can see it's just north of the mini storage site. And this is our zoning map, so you can see it's squarely inside our light industrial zoning area. A picture of the site here. And this is a photo of what that proposed cell tower might look like on that site. In our light industrial chapter, we have the permitted uses, prohibited uses outlined, and this one falls under a conditional use approved by the hearing examiner. It's allowed in light industrial area, and so long as it's consistent with Woodland Municipal Code 1771-195, and that is a section of code that lists the development standards for cell towers and the city's preferences, and this was adopted in June of this year. So for preferences, the city does outline that we have certain types of cellular communication facility types that we prefer, and co-location is our top preference on existing facilities. After that, we ask for co-location or location on existing support structures, maybe city lights or something like that, or on a building. And lastly, our preference is new support towers. We have another preference list, and that one is on location, and heavy industrial being our most preferred location, and then light industrial being our second most, on down through low density residential. So while it is our least preferred type of communication facility, it is one of our most preferred locations, and so we feel that evens out pretty well. As staff, we're comfortable with this proposal overall to have a new tower, though it's our least preferred, it is in our most preferred area. The next section of 1771-195 deals with lease areas, and it says that instead of following the design and development standards for the light industrial area, instead you follow the design and development standards for 1771-195 for cell towers specifically. Again, co-location is preferred, but there is another tower in the area. The applicant is already on that tower, so that being one reason to have another tower in this area. And their RF study did show need for another cell tower and improved service in that area. Anecdotally, I've seen on our local Facebook site that people have posted that service in the north part of town is terrible, so I've heard that a little bit. Then for development standards, new towers need to be able to accommodate more than just their own antenna from other companies. This proposal looks like it has 4 slots total, including themselves. They cannot deny a fair offer to co-locate, and I've included a condition that they add that onto the face of their site plan. Can't be within 1,000 feet of National Historic Site. This is not found to be within 1,000 feet, and there's special review requirement if it's in 660 feet of shoreline, and we don't find that it is. And it must comply with all the FAA regulations. We do have a letter from the FAA as agreeing that it fits in with their requirements. I did add a condition, however, because it was written in the letter that they are required, once the tower is constructed and reaches 100 feet, the top height, that they're required to file with the FAA within 5 days. So I've just added that as a condition of approval. No signage was proposed. Noise, there is some equipment there that may generate noise, so I've just recommended a condition that a note be added again to the site plan, the face of the site plan, saying that noise cannot exceed what's written in Washington Administrative Code, and that if it does, that will require noise attenuation equipment. just to put that note there just in case. The maximum height allowed by our cellular tower code is 120 feet, and only 100 feet has been proposed, so it's well within our maximum. There are specific setbacks. First is for the tower itself. It must be more than 50 feet from the property line, and the cell phone tower is. And it must be the tower must be further away from the nearest resident as the height that it is. As far as the auxiliary equipment, that's in the 40 by 40 compound. It must be at least 25 feet from the front and side street. We find that it is, and then at least 10 feet from the side and rear yard. We did receive a landscaping plan with the proposal, and screening is required around the cell tower. We require 80% opaque, and the trees, a certain number of the trees need to be 30 feet tall at maturity, at least 6 feet tall at planting. And then the security fence is required. It needs to be chain link, and it should be earth tone or green or black. And a 5-foot landscape buffer is required. I do see that on the landscaping plan here, that there is the 5-foot buffer. So there were a couple of conditions to take note of here that staff recommended. The first is that the trees in that 5-foot landscaping buffer are an arborvitae species that will mature at 7 to 15 feet. And we are requesting some that will mature at 30 feet tall. And they are meant by code to be 1 per 30 linear feet. So I believe that would make 5 trees in that buffer spread around that would mature at 30 feet. So replacing some of the smaller evergreen trees, the arborvitae, and replace with a taller maturing tree. Let's see. The 5th condition is about the fence. In the site plan, I saw that it was a barbed wire fence proposed, and we asked for in code a chain link fence. So just to swap out the type of fence. And 6, the covenant is required between the Horizon Towers and the landowner that the landscaping will be cared for. And we do have some examples from Public Works that could be used as a template for that if that is requested or wished. Okay, so color, we didn't have any concern about the color of the cell phone tower. It looked to me that it would be a gray, I think I saw in the plan, so that should blend in with normal cloudy skies around here. Lighting, I didn't see that any lighting was proposed. Let's see, variances, none were requested, but they are possible if requested and needed. And as far as application submittal, we've received everything that is required of this type of proposal. And I've listed just 2 other general conditions that are common of most of our site plan applications. One is to submit an erosion control plan with the civil plans, so it's later down the road. And there's no traffic impact fees due, but there is a fire impact fee of $816 that will be due at the time of submitting for the building permits. We have publicized through the notice of application, the public hearing, we did a SEPA checklist that was sent out to the SEPA partners, and we've received no comments on this proposal so far. Staff's recommendation is approval with the conditions that are outlined in the staff report. Okay, so
the only question I had was on condition 3. The way it's written says if noise attenuation will be required if the equipment exceeds noise levels permitted by the WAC. Would it be better to just require compliance with the WAC so that it's clear that's the standard they have to meet, and however they meet it? Okay.
Sure. Yes, I'd be comfortable with that. Thank you.
That was the only question I had. Thank you.
Thank you.
The applicant to your representative is going to testify for the applicant.
Yeah, we have to switch out the
Okay,
PowerPoint.
Okay.
will do.
Just a moment.
Oh, so
Oh, perfect. Okay, okay, great.
Ready.
Hi, thanks for your time. My name is Josh Roberts. I am an independent contractor for Horizon Towers. And some of these points will already have been hit on from the previous report, but I'll just go ahead and go through it here. As we mentioned, we are constructing and proposing a new telecommunications facility at 506 Robinson Road. That'll be a new 100-foot tall monopole in a 40 by 40 lease area. And it will include the installation of wireless antennas, surge protection, and various ground equipment. Close behind a 6 feet tall security fence. And you'll see the aerial photo here from Google Earth with the arrow pointing at the site itself. And some of the justification why the tower is needed in the area. We are addressing network deficiency with least intrusive means to address deficient service. And you'll see overall site plan. So we are going to be in the corner of the property where the storage expansion is going to be located. A little more detailed look at the lease area itself with the landscaping around it that we saw in the last presentation. And the elevation look at the tower itself. We can have 4 different tenants on the tower. And this is just a page basically explaining some of the health and safety, kind of going over the health and safety concerns that folks might have with some links to the FCC, the FDA, etc., and World Health Organization. If you need a hard copy of that, I can provide that.
It's in the record.
Should be in the record. And Horizon Towers will comply with all federal, state, and local requirements, and some other compliant points are in the record as well. And if you have any questions, please let me know.
Okay, I don't have any questions there.
Thank you.
For the record, does anybody else want to say anything about this application? Support in opposition or questions? Yes, sir.
David Simpson, Simpson, because I was listening. 506 Robinson Road, and I'm with Simpson Properties.
You
And,
and the applicant are both on the front of this sheet, so you've got your.
It's an honor to be here. I was on the planning commission for almost 15 years and never got to come to a hearing examiner hearing, and so it is kind of exciting for me to finally get to do it. I did want to mention that in the city's growth plan, there is a goal for, I had printer issues, probably because of bad cell service, but with telecommunications, one of the goals, goal EU3, encourage the development of modern telecommunication technologies, e.g. high-speed internet, vital for thriving business community, which add to the quality of life for the area residents. And they did hold a neighborhood meeting about the tower. Josh put in a lot of time and effort to it, and no one came, none of the neighbors. All the neighbors have been notified through SEPA, and in the home that's on the storage site, my daughter and son-in-law live in the home, and I did research as far as any impacts with the RF or anything before, because I just, really, don't want any adverse impacts, and there were none, and I haven't had any conversations with any neighbors of any concern whatsoever, other than the same comments that cell service in the north end of town is bad. And I really do believe that for the business growth, we need better data service, especially, it's all data now, and ironically, last week, I was sitting in the Taco Bell drive-thru and trying to upload the City of Woodland website and couldn't do it. I didn't have enough data to bring it up. So, I think it's a viable thing for our community, and it helps, we, as being a business owner, we're learning more and more all the time on how people are dependent on their mobile data. And it's the mobile data.
As we see right now.
Yes. So, that's really all I had to say, and I thank you for taking your time, and, you know, obviously the neighborhood doesn't have any complaints about anything, so.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Simpson. Anything further from staff?
No.
Anything further from the applicant? Okay, with that, I will close the public portion of the hearing, and based on the findings in the staff report, this application clearly complies with the applicable approval criteria. So I will approve it, subject to the conditions in the staff report. I will modify condition 3 to clearly require compliance with state law. However, the applicant achieves that is up to the applicant, but you are subject to those noise limitations. And I'll issue my decision within a maximum of 2 weeks. I'll probably get it out a lot sooner, just because the holidays, I haven't been in hearings, so I've got some time. And that concludes our hearing for today. Thank you.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you.